Greetings, everyone who's watching Black Mental Health Matters. Welcome to yet another show of ours right here. Today we have a very important topic for parents out there and for the children out there. Today we are going to talk about single parenthood and also talk about mental health. How does this come into mental health? How does single parenthood affect us as children in one or the other? Either positively or negative. So today we are going to be hosting. Actually, we are hosting, not going to be. We are hosting right now. A former Miss Uganda, Zoe Nakuya. She's right here in Uganda with me. She's an author of choose to live happily even after, right?
Even after, yes.
Yes, choose to live happily even after. Yeah, she's going to take us through why she wrote that book, what it was all about, and she's going to take us through single parenthood. Because yeah, she told me she has three children, so three actually beautiful daughters, more beautiful than me. So she's going to take. Yeah, she's going to take us through that. So I'm going to give her a chance without wasting so much of our time. She introduces herself and then we can dive into the topic herself. So, Dr. Zoe, welcome to Black Mental Health Matters. Kindly introduce yourself to our viewers out there and then we get into the topic.
Hello, everyone. Hello, our viewers. Thank you, Claire, for inviting me to this discussion. Like you said, I'm a medical doctor, I'm a well-being coach, and I'm an author. And that's basically me. And I'm a mother of three children. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Zoe, for honoring our invitation at Black Mental Health Matters. We are privileged to have you here today. So we are going to talk about single parenthood. So when someone says single parenthood, what should people expect? Yes, we understand there is a single parent, a dad or a mom, but what entails in a single parenthood? Take us through.
Okay. Most times when they say single parent, most people usually their mind goes fast to single mothers, because when it comes to single parents, the biggest percentage is single mothers. Yes, we do have some single fathers, but the biggest percentage is single mothers. And then also, when someone says single parents, most people think of people who are like rebelliously out of out of partnerships or marriages, or people who were for some reason failed to keep their relationships. So when you mention the word or the term single parent or single mother, most people associate it with failure, with poor conditions of life, with basically a lot of negativity around it. And yet we all come into single parenthood through different channels. Some come through losing a spouse. Society is kinder to those. It's very empathetic and kind to those ones. Especially the close circles who know that particular person. If you're a widow or widower, society is kind to you. It's empathetic. It's supportive and all that. The other ways are that sometimes people get married and then the marriages don't work out, and you find yourself having to leave the relationship because of some necessary reasons. Other people, well, they get into partnerships and maybe those partnerships don't last, and children have been born, so you find yourself as a single parent, whether a single father or a single mother. And then the other way is that there are some single parents by choice, and those are the minority, very, very few now, especially in our setting in Africa. But yeah, that's how we come into single parenthood.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I was just saying something.
Now talk about single parenthood. Yeah, sure. Proceed.
Yes, I was saying that very few people actually come into it by choice. Most people assume, like I said, that those are aberrant people who end up losing their partnerships, but very few people come into it by choice. No one goes into a relationship or a partnership or a marriage with the expectation or the wish that it should end. No, circumstances happen, and then you end up, on that lane. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so very much, Dr. Zoe, for that. For that taking about single parenthood and how society perceives it. And now we are going to focus on you. Actually, there are some key points I got from your book as I read some article where you wrote about dysfunctional marriages. You are writing about if a marriage is not functioning the way it should be functioning, and the person who's benefiting the least should actually find better ways of living. They should not, they should not stay in that marriage because they want because of the way how society perceives them, because of the way how society is going to talk about you. Or Claire left her marriage, or Zoe left her marriage. She's a single mother. She's back to her parents. I mean, when you talk about dysfunctional marriages, what exactly are you referring to, or whom are you referring to in that particular sense?
Well, dysfunctional marriages and partnerships can take on different forms. Basically, dysfunction is when you're in a situation that is which becomes threatening to different aspects of your life or your children's life. And I use dysfunction to describe several disorders that could be in a marriage. There could be abuse, and abuse can take on different forms. It could be physical, it could be emotional abuse, psychological, it could be financial, different types. Most people are used to the physical type, but the other types exist, and most times they are even worse than the physical. So dysfunction, when you're two people, you cannot agree on anything, or it's one person's way, or the other person is losing more of their life than actually gaining for their life. A marriage or partnership is supposed to be a powerful coming together of two people who bring their resources together, financial, emotional resources, social resources, mental resources. So a unit of two, and that should be bigger, that should be expansion. But when you get into a situation whereby now you're heading into shrinkage of one person, or the other, and most times if there is shrinkage of one person, there is also shrinkage on the other side, on the other, the partner, although that may not be like obvious. And when that shrinkage starts happening, it means it's also starting to affect the children. So there are many people in situations whereby, yes, the marriage is there. The outside image is that, oh yeah, two people, they are married, they have a home, they stay under the same roof, they're raising children together. But when there is a lot of conflict in the home, there is lack of warmth in the home, there is lack of love in the home, or the other person is quietly under oppression, and then sometimes you end up with physical expressions of these underlying inner dysfunction. So people will end up reporting stress or anxiety or hypertension, or developing ulcers, or developing like poor weight management issues, or depression. But when sometimes the cause of the issue is being in a relationship, partnership, or a marriage that is more on the dysfunctional side than on the functional side. Yes. I can't hear you. I lost you there. Sorry. I lost you there. I lost you. I lost you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I can't. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Let me try that. Hello? Can you hear me, Claire? Can you hear me? I don't know. I can't hear your side. Your side is not coming through. I'm not hearing anything from your side. Sorry about that, but I cannot hear anything from your side. I don't know what's happening, whether it's the connection or anything like that. No, not yet. I've tried to change my microphones, but
Can you hear
hello?
me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
No,
I think
sorry about.
I think that glitch was on your side, but you know, it's okay. It happens sometimes.
Okay, no problem.
Yes.
I know that there is something that intrigues me about you. And this is the fact that you are a beauty queen. You know, you are a Miss Uganda. We look, of course, once a beauty queen, always a beauty queen, forever beauty queen. Yeah, you are Miss Uganda.
Thank you.
Yeah. You were a Miss Uganda. You held
Yes.
Uganda's flag. You represented us at the World Beauty Pageant. I mean, you are a medical doctor. Your life seems so easy. So how come? Because apparently we assume that single mothers or maybe single fathers probably they don't have an education, or they don't have work, or maybe they're ugly or something like that. So how come Madame Zo is a single mother? How come you're a single mother? What happened? Maybe your story will inspire someone out there.
Those are the stereotypes that have been formulated by society that says that a certain category of people is composed of such and such and such. And so they lump you all in one category, but it is not, something's going wrong in a relationship or a marriage are not exclusive to people of a certain background, of a certain social class, of a certain job level, or of a certain financial, like a status. It is something that can happen to anyone. It is not limited to a particular category of society. So it's just that the stereotype that is portrayed is that, they are single parents are this particular type of people, but no, it can be anyone, anywhere, at any level. And even while growing up, I met so many from different levels of society. And even now I meet so many, both men and women, in different, different like careers, different social like settings, different religions. And yeah, so it is not specific to whatever category of people. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. What is your say about these things that I think I'll call them societal pressures? Where someone, for example, personally, I have people who saw me the day I was given birth to. They have seen me grow, but they have not. There are things about me they have not yet seen. There are things about me that they haven't seen yet. Yeah, and they always have these kind of questions for me. Yeah, every time I get to meet them, every time I go to my village, there are these questions of when are you bringing someone? We need a child. We need this. I mean, how do you perceive that kind of thing? I mean, because people assume that if someone is done with campus, they are supposed to get married, are supposed to have children. But then in this era of ours, we seem to focus on different things altogether. So how do you perceive these kind of societal pressures?
Um, of course, like you called them, societal pressures, that is what they are. Any sort of society has its what should I call it? Default settings, default settings like grow up to this level, finish school at this age, uh, do your maybe like get a partner at this age, get children at this age, but we don't necessarily have to fit into those default settings. I mean, even when you buy machines, they come with default settings, and then there is the option of customization. So life is not like one prescription fits all. It is not. We are all different. We have different paths, and we resonate with different things. Someone might want to pursue their career first, and if that is what's a priority to them, then so be it. And maybe partnership is not something that they're considering right now, and that is for at a later time. So we have this setup in society where we are supposed to listen to all the conventional prescriptions, and we are supposed to follow those. And when we do not follow those, if we fall out of line with those, we end up being called, like rebels, or we are kind of somehow behind the expected milestones. And sometimes what people want to see happen in your life is not what you want for your life. And we've got to get to the level whereby we decide what is it that is most suitable for my life. What do I want for my life? Like just giving an example, yesterday we were discussing with people about, the current trend of like, finish this, do this kind of schooling, finish, get this master's degree, then pursue this, career, get another degree and all that. Not everyone is meant for that path. Sometimes, like I said, we all have different paths. So these pressures have been there for many, many, many years. But I think now people are getting more comfortable with choosing themselves, with choosing the paths that are more suitable to them, and deciding what their lives are going to be like. Because at the end of the day, if you choose something that does not suit you, and then you end up falling in a ditch, no one is going to come and help you with, out of that ditch. It is still you to deal with your ditches. So that's why you have to go back to yourself and decide what is suitable for me, versus the societal pressures. If the societal, conventional prescription is, if it fits with you, if at that age you're like, oh yeah, I'm okay, I'm ready for a partner, well then go ahead. If you want a child, go ahead. But if that's not what you want in that moment of your life, you have a choice, because at the end of the day, it's you going to get to carry that child, it's you going to bring up that child, it's you going to meet all the responsibilities concerned with your path. So let not other people choose for you. We have to get into the decision of choosing for ourselves. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we are mixing all this into mental health. The day you chose to walk on a solo
Yes.
path, to say I'm done with all this.
Mm.
I have to be me. I have to go with my three girls. I have to go and take care of them by myself. At that point,
Mm. Mm.
what was transpiring in your mind? What were you going through at that point mentally?
Okay, mentally. Mentally, because like I said in the beginning, that, I chose marriage, okay? I chose partnership, okay? That means that I was set for a path of raising our children with my partner, okay? But certain things did not go right. And then, certain things did not go right consistently. And I realized that the better path for me was for us to be in separate spaces, So I chose that. And even if I chose that, I want to be clear that, it is not a permanent situation, because, hey, I mean, come tomorrow, come a few years down the road, I could get married again, So it was the space that I was in that was not suitable for the both of us, So for me, solo parenting was not like a first choice, okay? It's just that what was meant to be did not work out as we planned it to be, So even if I chose and said, okay, now the better path for me is to go this direction, it doesn't mean that it was an easy decision, because that means that a lot of expectations have to be adjusted. And when you have been in a partnership, or when you set out to build a partnership, there is a certain there are certain links that you build between you, between different social circles, families, and all that sort of thing, So when you are separating, you are actually breaking these bonds. So not just on a physical level, but you're also breaking them on a mental and on a physical level. And our bodies as well as minds definitely react to change, So even if that change is chosen, we will react in a way that impacts us. So definitely we can get into distress, anxiety, so you're thinking about all the, the challenges on your table, because, you're going to be, if you choose to be the one to be the primary caretaker of your children, that means that you're going to have most of the parenting responsibilities on you. That takes up your time. That has an impact on your finances. That has an impact on the other things that you need to do with your life. And then, of course, in that moment, like we have said, that I was now setting off onto an unconventional path, a path that is not easily accepted by society. It means that I was facing a lot of resistance from the different social circles, from society, from religious circles, from different sources. And I mean, we all know all the things that are said about this path, even if many of them are not true, but we know that that is the stereotype out there. So in the beginning, before you get to process it, before you get to deal with it, it impacts you. You get distressed. You actually start internalizing this external stigma. You put it into yourself, and you actually start stigmatizing yourself. You kind of feel like you're a misfit, and then you hear all these things that are said about, predicted about how your children are going to turn out, and you kind of like wonder about them. And so now you have to go through a very intense readjustment of your mind to be able to get back on like a healthy path mentally. So it can be distressing, that transition. And yes, it was distressing. I cannot deny that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about intense readjustment, should I assume you involved a counselor at a mental health facility, or someone, or a friend you called at home and told them about your life, told them what you're going through, so maybe they can give you some a little bit of advice, or maybe because you said when I saw some points from your book, you said you had to go back to your mom. Did you tell her about all these things, explain everything, so she would give you a shoulder to lean on? I mean, what did you do to readjust to fit in?
Social circles, supportive social circle is key, is critical to helping one go through that transition, So sometimes you kind of have to go a few steps backwards before you can climb up again, So most people will need support in different ways. It could be, physical support in terms of like shelter. It could be financial support, maybe for you and the children. It could be, or you could already have those, and they could be running well, and you could just need, like social support, mental support. So a social circle is critical to that. And like obviously my mom, my parents knew what that transition that I was taking on. And yes, yeah, my family was supportive, and also a number of dear friends and yeah, people that you can trust and talk to about certain things. People who will give you it's called, like, like wise compassion. People who can join, who can like stand with you, but without necessarily like increasing the anger in you, without escalating the situation. Because sometimes you can get what might seem like compassion or support, but when it's just like taking you lower, when it's just pushing you into self-pity, when it's just making you see like that, almost just the negative side of things, so you just basically take a downward like a spiral. So you need wise compassion, not idiot compassion, as some psychiatrists calls it, Lori Gottlieb. So you need that kind of support. I think that's more in the category of like empathy and compassion, support without necessarily pulling you into the negative direction. So that is very important. And for those who feel that that is not enough just within your social circles, then it's important to see a counselor or a therapist. I did not see any of those, but I had a support system. Yeah.
Now, talking about social circle, because I personally understand that when we have money, like if you're working class, you have money, there is a type of friends that you actually attract on your side. But at that point, when you go broke, if morning came and then you went broke, you don't have money anymore, you have all these lots of problems surrounding you. These people who were your friends at the time of you having money are all going to go away. And when they go away, they're going to leave you so alone, because now you're no longer their type. I mean, you don't have money anymore, you no longer go out together, you no longer do partying together. So how lucky were you at that point that you remain with people who are so supportive to you? Because if I wake up tomorrow morning and I'm not employed anymore, trust me, most of my friends are going to shun me, because they'll be like, what do I benefit from Claire? If I called her, she will not help me. If I did it, she will not. So you at that point, how lucky are you that these friends stayed around to give you the support system that you deserved at that point?
I think that that's when those are moments when you kind of like get clarity on which kind of friendships or relationships are just acquaintances, or which kind are really like like deep friendships. So those are clarifying moments. So eventually, whereas it was a little bit distressing at first, it's not necessarily that these people actually go away like intentionally. It's just that the things that are occupying your life and your path are no longer very resonant with the path that they are on. When you're going through a transition, a distressing transition, this is not a time where you're looking towards like partying or going here and there. This is a time where you're just focusing on priorities. So by virtue of that, you find that your timings do not resonate very well. You're on a different path, they are on a different path. So somehow that distance develops between you and so some friendships start to fade away like that. But then there is also the point of for some people, this was not so like conspicuous in my setting, in my own circumstances, but I've seen it happen for many others, whereby some friends are like, we might get influenced by that person. So they kind of start to like keep their distance, But like like you suggested that maybe I was lucky that a lot of my friends who were my friends before continued to be my friends. Some of them is because that, like I said, because of the priorities in my life, that I sort of like cut back a little bit, just naturally it happens. But like later you pick up. And whereas it can be distressing in the early times of that transition, like I said, it is a clarifying moment. That's when you start accepting yourself and accepting others, where you all are. You start to know that these types of my friends, this is the level we associate at. These types, this is the level you associate at, and this, like that. So then you can seek to choose that, what, with this kind of person, this is how we can benefit from each other. This is how we can support each other. This kind of person, we go to this level. And this kind of person, we are deep. So you can use it as an opportunity to really clarify your relationship, to cultivate deeper ones, to build newer ones, to get newer networks and all that. But it's all a process. It's not something that happens in one go, 1 week, 1 month. No, it's a process. It's a journey of understanding and of learning. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was a very important point. I hope people who are watching us have noticed that you need to know the type of friends that you hold in your lives. If you're following our shows, we are live on Black Mental Health Matters LinkedIn. We are live on United States of Africa Facebook, Black Mental Health Matters YouTube, Black Mental Health Matters Twitter. Follow us and watch the conversation. She's a very interesting person. I am sure you've already heard what she's saying. And now, moving away from you a little bit, I'm looking at single fathers. Yeah, single fathers.
Yes. What's that? Okay. Hello?
Sorry about that. It was some kind of noise. We are going to look at single fathers. These men who choose that now the men
the noise
that choose.
Is still in.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me very well?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'm looking at the single fathers, the men who choose. I mean, I cannot stay with this woman. I have to live my life. I have to contain my children. I have to take care of them. Because it is very hard for a man to wake up tomorrow morning and he says, no, I don't want you anymore. I want to stay with my children. You can go and find your life, and me, I also stay by myself. And these men actually who don't choose to marry another wife, they want to stay alone with their children, or 2 or 3 children, and then they take care of them. Have you met some of them? Have you maybe had a one-to-one conversation? What is their say about single parenthood? Probably maybe someone out there would want to know.
Yes, I do. I have met a number of them, and it wasn't because they're like, oh, I just want to stay alone. The same thing that happens on the women's side is the same thing that happens on their side. They don't choose to stay alone. I mean, raising children on your own, that means you're taking double responsibility. So when you have a partner that you can resonate with, it's much better for those who choose, the path of partnership and marriage. So even single fathers don't necessarily end up there by a voluntary choice, but life circumstances can sometimes necessitate that. And yes, they also go through their challenging moments, mentally, emotionally, because they have to readjust their lives. Also, even when someone someone goes out of your life and maybe you both chose it, like it was a necessary separation, it still impacts you more emotionally and mentally, and physically, even if you both chose it. So you still have to go through that season of adjusting, your timetables, knowing that so if the father is the one staying with the children, knowing that they're the ones to be there, like mostly financially, physically, mentally and emotionally support the children. I mean, children have lots of needs. It's not just food, shelter, and school fees. No, they have lots of things. They need comforting, they need laughter, they need conversation, they need, what should I call it, upliftment and affirmation and all that. So when you're the person who is the primary caretaker, all of this is on your shoulders. So it is a big responsibility on them. And of course, it impacts their other life in terms of work, in terms of maybe venturing out into other relationships, because now they have to be careful who is coming into their life, how will they handle these children and all that. So there are many factors to consider. So they do also go through their own transition, and it takes some time, but they get there and they get better. Like we all go through transition and we get to the other side. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Then what do you say about this thing of single parent settings breed broken children? What do you say about that statement?
Let me first laugh a bit. Like we said, society has many prescriptions, many default settings for how things should be. So obviously, when something does not resemble the expected, a lot of disaster is expected. But according to what I have seen in the years that I've spent on this earth, that has not been my experience. Why? Because I've seen several people, many older than me, many younger than me, who have been brought up by single parents, either single father or single mother, and they are doing well in this world. They're responsible citizens making their contribution in this world, around the world. Obviously, this was something that has been of interest, to me, because I had to investigate my path, and I'm like, okay, this is what they say, but what have I seen? What am I experiencing? What is the world showing me? So I've seen a totally different picture, and a lot of the researches that are done, sometimes they are biased, and sometimes when you ask a research question and start a research, many times you'll be oriented towards finding certain results that you expect. And I will say that one thing that I found is that they barely do research on single mothers who end up there because of widowhood. Yeah. Okay, so what happens to the children of those mothers? Are they different from these other, single, parents? And then also, many times they focus on single mothers or single parents living in very dire situations, say like of poverty. The social settings are like maybe totally, deprived. And of course, all those things affect children, whether you're two parents or a single parent, and there is not enough deep examination about single parents who have, say, the financial means, the social support, and, all of that, all the factors that enable a child, to grow up well. And then there is little investigation of the situations within married or, two partnered homes. Like if you have a marriage, but that home is toxic, the environment is toxic, it's abusive, it's unloving, because we have many homes like that where the parents are physically present, but they're not emotionally available. So how does that impact those children compared to single parent homes where, the emotional availability and support is there, the resources are there to support the children? So I do not accept that conclusion that children from single parent homes end up as broken, because that is not what I have seen. And I say that people should not always just follow statistics. Don't let statistics and stereotypes and people's opinions drive your life. Yeah. Have lost you?
Sorry, I had muted. There is something about single parent. There's something about single parenthood that does not make that much sense. For example, there are women that I know who are single parents to children of different fathers. Like there's someone I know who has about 5 children. Each child has a different father. So in that case, don't you think these people choose to be single parents? Because according to what you said single parents do not choose to be single parents. But if someone has 5 children, each child has their own father. Don't you think that aspect someone has chosen me? I want to be, for example, me, Claire, I want to be a single mom, and I'm going to have 5 different men fathering my 5 different children. Don't you think that's a choice in life?
I have not met people who like would take it that that is their choice in life. In that case, I would say that the challenge is coming from the relationships that they are making, such that they end up being maybe broken instead of lasting longer, and then maybe they find themselves in another relationship, and then still end up with another child. So very few people, if any, I don't know, would choose to have children from, especially women, from different partners. And I would like to say that it's not just say just women, like I think you realize that a lot of this single parent conversation focuses so much on women, but there are so many men who actually have children from different partners, even
That's
married
very
ones
true.
who have
Yeah.
children from outside the marriage. How come we have a blind eye to all of that? So so you see what I'm saying. So the focus goes a lot on women, but it's something that happens on both sides, and very few women actually would choose to have one from here, another one from there, another one from there. It is not a walk in the park. Raising children, it's not a walk in the park. It isn't. So no one would voluntarily choose it at one time, a second time, a third time, and then you have all these different partners to deal with. No, I don't think it would be a choice. It's just something that is not functioning well in the relationship side, that person would need to work on and maybe hold off having children until they can have a stable relationship. Yeah.
Now there is this thing we call actually not this thing, but these things of having grandparents, like our children's grandparents. For
Yes.
example, my parents, and then I know
Mm.
if I went out there and slept with Tom and I mothered a child, I mean my mom is there, I would just carry the child to my mom. And then also,
Mm.
if my brother fathered a child out there, he will also carry the other child to my mom, because we believe
Mm.
that grandparents love their grandchildren that much, and they can take care of
Okay.
them. So
Mm.
some people just do these things because they feel they should be done. I mean, it is their choice after all.
Mm.
Someone's going to say, "I want to do this because it's my choice. I can do that whenever I want." So should I assume
Mm.
that people do not learn from their mistakes? Because if I went, I slept with Tom, I mothered a child. Tomorrow I slept with Edgar, I mothered another one. Next day I slept with Kenneth, I mothered another one. I mean, that's what does that one
Mm.
mean? It means that I don't learn from my mistakes, right? Does that mean so?
How I would see that is that there is something going on inside that person. There is something that they are searching for that they are not finding, something that they need to go back within and re-examine. I mean, don't go looking for it from Tom, from Charles, from whatever. There is something there, some sort of lack within them, some sort of feeling of incompleteness within them that they are looking for from outside, and searching for it from relationships. So before I understood some of these things, I would be like more judgmental towards like those people, and say like, what, yeah, lack of lack of responsibility, lack of focus and all that. But you know what, lack of focus or irresponsibility comes from an inner problem that needs to be addressed, because someone who is in should I say, a stable emotional state, a stable mental state, where you can actually think through and process things and all that, you'd have to look and consider, why would I want to burden my parents? They raised me. Why should I be bringing children to them to look after? And if this one did not go well, this relationship did not go well, why do I need to just keep adding on more? I need to step back and work on something and see what needs to be corrected. It's not because just getting a child is not something that's going to cement a relationship. So sometimes you end up with that child alone. So there is something inside these people that needs to be worked on. Or sometimes for someone who does it and it's like a relationship they hoped would work out and then it doesn't work out, and then they find that maybe they have nowhere to put the child, they have to go and work, or maybe they are not yet able to have their own like shelter or dwelling, but they have to go and work. But when they have the mind to know that even if I've left my children at my parents' home, I can go and I can offer support, I can take back financial support, I can go and give emotional support to my children while they build themselves up. Mistakes happen in life, but if someone is doing it in a serial manner, then that person needs to re-examine themselves and see what needs to be corrected in their lives. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And now, Dr. Zoe, before you launched your book, Choose to Live Happily Even After. Before you launched that book, not so much was known about you as being a single parent, because that's when you came to the limelight. That's when all these media houses started coming to you. That's when I got to know you personally. That's when we all wanted to know who's this beauty queen, who's a single mom. That's when we all came to know. So prior to you writing that book, had you even now, do you actually have these conversations with people out there, people who are not actually necessarily single parents, but people who are maybe into relationships and they would want to hold on onto the relationships, or maybe people who are into relationships and they're having issues, but they are still saying maybe tomorrow that the sun might shine, maybe next day that it might rain or something like that. Do you actually give them some sort of counseling, some sort of, telling them to choose themselves before their partners? Do you do such kind of talks, or should we just focus on the book that you've written so that we can get healed?
There are lots of resources out there. I wouldn't say it's me just like come to me. One, I am not I'm a medical doctor, and yet yes, fine, I explored the field of psychology and counseling and all that sort of thing, yes, but that is not like my main occupation, but before that book coming out, obviously I had been interacting with a number of people, those in relationships, those coming out of relationships, those already out of the relationships, and we talk about mental health, someone's well-being. How do you make a better relationship? Because the truth is, if you choose a partnership, then we need to give it our best. If and when you choose a partnership, it's a beautiful setting to be in. I'm someone who is all for a good marriage, I'm someone who is all for a good relationship, but where two people feed into themselves and then they feed into the relationship, I'm all for that. And if someone needs to work on themselves to make the partnership work, then let them take that approach, because sometimes the issues are within ourselves. First of all, work on yourself instead of pointing so much of a finger. Work on yourself. How do I contribute either to the joy or to the distress in this relationship? Give it your best, and then of course from there you will be in a position to make a decision of where of deciding that maybe I've given this my best and there is nothing more that I can give to make it better, and then make a decision whether to stay or to leave. And when whichever decision you make, you need to make peace with it. If you're staying, how do you make it more workable for both of you, even with the challenges in there? Like relationships are not like a walk in the park. Imagine we do have disagreements with our own parents, we have disagreements with our own siblings, we have disagreements at work and all of that. So at any one moment, we have to be more oriented towards bettering ourselves and working things out, okay? But there are situations whereby we are just not able to do that. And then from there, depending on your circumstances, you have to make a decision. And that decision can only be made by the individual person. No one can choose for someone. So I never, and I'm not out there to tell people, what, if this is going wrong, leave your relationship or this and that. No, I mean, you're two people who chose to be together, so give it your best, give it your best, okay? But should you find yourself in a very dysfunctional situation, it's not healthy for you, it's not healthy for the children, it's not healthy for the other person. But at the end of the day, the decision is yours. And whichever one you take, make peace with it and see how to make it work, and we all want to make the same decision. So yeah, I've talked to different people in the different forums, as well as individuals through different, even in my well-being coaching. I also have friends and associates and all that who go through those things. Some I have fed into their lives, and some have also fed into my life. They have been there to talk to me, to walk me through different processes, and so it's a life exchange, really. Yeah. So yeah, and of course I used to write about mental well-being, knowing yourself, loving yourself, being confident in yourself, and overcoming challenges and all that. And then I found that a number of people were asking me these questions, and I couldn't reach everyone individually. So I decided to share some of the processes in the book.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you so much. Now, there is something that I meant on, social media has lots of things, a lot of stuff,
Yes. Yes.
Someone,
Yes.
someone somewhere posted on one of the social media platforms that had a woman until she becomes a motivational speaker. I mean, whereas that comment sounds funny, it was later. Yes, at that point when I read it, I laughed. But later on, when I sat in my, in my safe space, and I had to reason it out, it was kind of rude. I'm like, okay, now this man writes had a woman until she becomes a motivational speaker. How do you resonate with that kind of statement?
Claire, people will always have their opinions, okay? So there are also many inspirational, motivational speakers, or, even life coaches who have not necessarily gone through challenging moments in life, were they consistently hurt by someone to become that? No, they didn't. You understand? But many times when a woman chooses certain things that are not necessarily, in the flow with what is conventionally prescribed for her, she will get lashbacks. She will get lashbacks. And when you get to understand this, you stop being bothered by that. When I started understanding stigma, I stopped being so bothered by it. And you will meet comments like that from different people, and not necessarily about women. But some people will say, how can a poor person teach you a particular lesson? Or they will say, oh, it looks like some people first become poor and then they grow rich, and then they start telling others, how to become rich. And it's okay. They have experienced it, they have been down, they have built themselves up, they have gone through the path, and so they are in a position of experience to share some nuggets, about life with other people. So comments like that are expected from people. It's normal, it's not surprising, so it is rude, yes, but the thing is that we cannot change people's opinions. We cannot change how they see life. And there are so many people who think like the person who posted that. Now, how are you going to find them all? How are you going to change them all? The important thing is to know who you are, what you think about yourself, what you think about life, and where you're going, and what you're building, and what light that you want to share with the world. That's the most important thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor, for sharing all that you've shared with us. As we conclude this session, kindly give us those closing remarks, something that would mentally uplift someone who has actually become a single parent today, or maybe they will become tomorrow, or maybe they became yesterday, and they don't know about how to go about all these things mentally. Maybe they went through depression or these things. So those encouraging words, kindly give those encouraging words.
I would say one, accept where you are. Like if it has happened, it has happened. We have to stop fighting it and then swim with it. Don't fight it, swim with it, and know, like, okay, this is where I am. How can I make the best of where I am? What resources can I use? What support can I use? What healing do I need? And then you go through that process. Also know that it's a transition. It is a process. Of course, you're going to feel pain. It is an emotional and psychological reaction of the body. It's just our makeup, that you have to react like that. But with time, the body you're going to acclimatize to it, and then your systems are going to get back into flow. And then of course you have to stop comparing yourself to others and where they are, and focus on your journey and your priority, and you're lifting your life up. So that is, that should be like, your priority. And then to focus on a positive self-talk, because when you're absorbing all this negativity from around you, you can end up using that same negativity and speaking it to yourself. So you've got to start, replacing that in your mind and talk to yourself positively. Think about yourself positively. Think about your future positively. Look for the positive people who can actually add to your life in the different, aspects of your life. And then, of course, you have to choose to love yourself. Don't hate yourself just because of what has happened. You've got to love yourself, and you've got to accept that, love does exist in this world. It is there. I mean, it is the norm of life. Just because some things have gone wrong, that does not mean that, you're cast, or like you're, I don't know what, like the last on the line and all that sort of thing. No, circumstances don't determine you, the person. You're still intact, and there is a lot that you can do. Yes, you might have challenges on your plate of raising like children, whether financial, emotional, and all that. One, seek the support that you can get. Two, level up your life. Do whatever you can to improve and to expand your life, to support yourself through the journey and like your children. And then of course, forgive and let go of, the conflict and the friction and the hatred and all that, because that eats into your soul, it eats at your spirit. So you've got to start to let go of that gradually. And then of course, give yourself some self-care. I know there's a lot to do, but you've got to kind of like take some little time off to just be silent, just be you, just hang out on your own or with your friends, and just take care of yourself and to get adequate sleep, because if you don't sleep enough, your brain gets messed up, so yeah. And you have to keep choosing yourself while also seeing other people with love. Don't let the some of the not so nice things that have happened turn you into a bitter person who sees the world like it's a dark cloud. No, there is a lot of beautiful things in this life, and when you open your eyes, you'll see them. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zol, for honoring my invitation to be part of the Black Mental Health Matters community today. We highly appreciate that. And for everyone who has been watching us from all over the world, we thank you. Also, don't take you for granted. I have been Nasasira Claire, your host for today. And to the good people who have sent in your comments, thank you very much. We appreciate all that. And but people appreciating you, they're saying it's a good topic, it's a good conversation. You have nailed it. I mean, that's wonderful of you. That's great. That's great.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me into this space, to share what I have learned from the different fields, from the personal experience, other people's experience, and from, the information that's out there. And I hope people can remember that they are strong enough to take on life and really rise up from whatever circumstance and actually lead a good life. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. From here in Uganda, we said good night. It was time for us to sleep. And to everyone else around the world, we greet you in the name of Jesus Christ, since tomorrow is a Sunday. Then we can go and praise the Lord. Thank you so much, Zoe. And
thank you. And thank you, our audience, for watching, and have a blessed life. Bye-bye. Thank you.